My name is Alexandra, no I, and this is an audio chronicling of 40 reflections in the 40 days leading up to my 40th birthday. While I am speaking from my own perspective, I invite you to join me in reflecting, implore you to share with friends who may also benefit from this type of reflection, and simply extend the offering of an opportunity to be your best and most authentic self. Episodes in this 40 and 40 series will typically be less than 15 minutes and end with a question for you to ask of yourself. Please subscribe and return to join me in this journey as we build momentum along the way. Here we go. In line with habits, patterns, routines being revisited as a result of spending time or being in conversation with a new person, or even coming back around to an existing connection. I'm sure a lot of us have friends that we don't talk to all the time, but when we catch up, we might have like a concentrated stint where you don't talk to them for 6 months, and then there's, a couple of weeks where you're talking to them a few, 2 to 3 times in a week, or maybe even every day. Maybe, both of you are going through the same thing, and so now you have occasion to talk every day, or whatever the case may be. So while this series within a series has somewhat been themed around new connections, it can absolutely pertain to existing connections. But sometimes new connections or existing connections or adjusted connections. So someone who's already been in your life, but now they're in your life in a new capacity. Sometimes you might notice as you're spending time with this person, these people, or being in conversation with these people, you may notice that other areas of your life start to change. You start, say you're revisiting an old friendship, or, again, just a friend that you don't necessarily talk to all the time, but now you're back in more consistent communication. And as you're doing that, you notice that things at work start clicking a little differently. Or you're dating a new person, and it just so happens that you are going back to school, and that starts to there's a different trajectory on that front, or just anything seemingly unrelated, but just the timing happens to overlap. I am looking at my not career path per se, but to a degree. But even, just my general professional life, the commitments that I have. And I've started to see movement in different areas. I talked about mindfully releasing some things to just create more room overall. And as I've kind of been shifting the pieces around, I also happen to be entering into a new, social situation. And it's interesting how that can happen, right? Because as much as we like to think that everything is separate, we compartmentalize. But if we're the common denominator, how separate can things truly be? So, as part 5 of this 5-part new connection series within a series, I invite you to think about, have other areas in my life changed since I began to interact with this person? Or I'd even say, interact with this person in this way. How? Are the changes indicative of being in greater or less alignment?